Well, now that the floodgates are open, there is no limit to the madness. You could tear down the walls which distinguish inherently different things from each other, take fundamental human concepts and categories and drain them of all meaning, remove the definitions of words, replace those definitions with vague ambiguities, and you end up with unrestrained madness. And this is all by design, of course. That's why we now live in a country where, over this past weekend, a 29-year-old father of three took first place in a women's skateboarding competition, beating out a 13-year-old girl. But don't worry, this story will get even more absurd as we go along, so just sit tight and be prepared for that. Here's the report from the Daily Wire. It says, an adult biological male who identifies as a woman edged out a 13-year-old girl to take first place in a women's skateboarding contest held in New York Saturday, the feminist site Redux reported. Ricci Tres, 29, won the women's division of the Border Open for a $500 prize. Tres bested a field of biological females, including runner-up Shiloh Katori, and 4 other children, including 10-year-old Jory Licura. Quote, male wins women's skateboarding finals and money at the Border Open NYC presented by DC today, tweeted Taylor Silverman, a professional skateboarder who's been critical of biological males competing in the sport. Now, Silverman tweeted a picture of the top 6 finalists, and if you look at the picture, you can see that 2nd through 6th place ranges in ages from 28 to 10. But what they all have in common is that they're females. That's 2nd through 6th place, all females. They're obviously females. You wouldn't even need the names or the context to know that they're females. You could look at a small thumbnail-sized image of a female's face and know immediately that she is a female. That's how clear it is. And that's why Ricci Tres stands out like a sore thumb, a man's sore thumb, to be precise. But I said this gets more absurd, so let's continue with the Daily Wire report. It says, quote, last year, Tres became the first trans woman to attempt to qualify for Olympic women's skateboarding, submitting a virtual run for the USA National Skateboarding Championships. But the biological testosterone reportedly tested too high to allow entry as a female under the International Olympic Committee standards. So, he could not qualify as a woman for the Olympics, but he did somehow count as a woman for this competition in New York. This is the lunacy we end up with. Now that we've disregarded biology as a determining factor for whether someone is male or female. Without biology, we're left with this ridiculous situation where an athlete might count as a woman in one competition, but not in another. This is what happens when you erase the objective lines of distinction and redraw them somewhere else, anywhere else. Wherever you redraw them, it will be necessarily arbitrary. So arbitrary that we're expected to see this skateboarder as some sort of shapeshifter inhabiting a male or female body depending on where he is and where he's competing. But we haven't even yet traced this rabbit hole all the way down to the bottom. Things get somehow even more ludicrous. Last fall, Ricci Tres did an interview with the USA Skateboarding YouTube channel, and there he discussed the process by which he discovered that he was a woman. After all, not but a few years ago, he was a mustachioed father of 3 in the military, and now he's supposedly a woman. How did this happen? Well, here's what he says.
I didn't know that I could even be a female if I wanted to. It was like something I envied. I envied females when I was a kid. I would envy their dress choice, their like ability to be pretty and cute and do things like that.
So how did that go? Like, how do you come out to your wife about that, and what's her reaction, and what is your guys' status now?
So it began with me. I had to come out to myself, and that's kind of where all of that concluded, all of that guilt and regret. I had to try to justify it to myself. Like, what is it that I've been doing? What am I thinking? Who am I? What am I? Like, it was tough. It was a tough justification.
Yeah, that's a woman there, we're told. You can just feel the feminine energy, right? But he envies women, he says. And this is remarkable only in that it was said out loud and on camera. It's entirely clear to anyone paying attention that many trans activists envy women and resent women for possessing what they know they can never have. That's why they're so often nasty and spiteful towards women. At a pride parade a few days ago, a trans person was marching around half naked with "Kill the TERFs" written on his chest, openly advocating for the murder of women. Par for the course among trans activists. Now, Ricci Tres doesn't go that far, but he does admit to envy. He wanted to be pretty and cute, he says, and Later in life, when seeking to explain himself to himself and to rationalize and justify his own past actions, he used that word, justify, he decides that, he'll become a woman himself. Except not really. Because the Daily Mail published its own profile of this person, and they quote him as saying this. Okay, this is from him. This is what he said. I am 28. I have 3 kids. I'm married. I did my time in the military. I own a company. I've decided that I like being pretty and cute. So everything that goes with that is female. I love female bodies. I think it's a work of art. Now listen closely to this part. I know I will never be a woman because women are miraculous. They have babies and create life and do all that awesome stuff. I'll never have that ability, but I feel like I'm a woman. I would have wished to be born one, so I'll try to fill that image as much as I can for myself, and that pretty much involves being as cute as can be. So he says himself that he is not a woman and will never be one. He simply likes the idea of being cute. And he wishes that he was a woman, so he's decided to play the part. That's not my diagnosis, it's his own. I will never be a woman. Direct quote, his own words. Now just think about this. We're being called upon to affirm somebody as a woman, even though he does not affirm himself as a woman. We're being asked to be more confident in his womanhood than he is. So this goes beyond the insanity of being forced to agree with a person's deluded self-perception. In this case, we are meant to help him shape that self-perception. He simply, as he says, likes cute things, and he's envious of women. It falls to society then to take this raw material and form it into a shape of a self-identified woman. Also note that he's on drugs as part of his transition, quote unquote. That means a doctor prescribed him hormones to be a woman, even though he doesn't actually think he is one. Again, it's not just about affirming self-perception. It's about shaping that perception and then affirming it. Society has now been given the project of creating new trans people. Of course, the left has been already doing that quite eagerly for a long time, but now everyone else is expected to participate. What other conclusion can we draw from the fact that we are expected to refer to somebody as a woman and treat them as a woman, even though he only says that he wishes he was one, not that he is one? We're supposed to grant that wish, except that it's a wish nobody can grant, because men are men and women are women. And Ricci Tres is, today, canceled. If you want to join my exclusive fan base, or a cult, as really that's what it is, we're forming a cult, then all you gotta do is click the subscribe button and ring the bell below this video to stay up to date with all my content. And if you want even more, you can watch or listen to my show at thedailywire.com, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Looking forward to welcoming you to the Sweet Baby Gang.